Hi, welcome to Brass Matters. I'm John Wallace, and if you don't know me, I'm obsessed with incredible performances, chance discoveries, and unexpected musical treasures. Falling into all of those three categories was our introductory music, Errollyn Wallen's Peace on Earth, played by David Childs on euphonium and Christopher Williams on piano. It's only just out on the Naxos label, and it's worth rushing out to buy this very minute in whichever format tickles your fancy. Errollyn is with us today, and I was joking with her earlier that she's written so much great music in so many genres and styles that my listening habits over the past weeks have been wall to wallen with her music. But we're going to concentrate on Errollyn's writing for brass today. With a famous jazz trumpeter, Byron Wallen, as a brother, brass runs deep in her family. Errollyn, Master of the King's Music since her appointment to the post in August 2024, has written several works for brass band. Today's podcast, as well as exploring her work, interrogates the position of brass band music in the musical firmament and whether composers like her and many of the other brilliant composers working out there today are keen to write for band, and how we stimulate the brass band environment to keep the flow of new works alive. With me to develop this theme with Errollyn is Tony George, co-artistic director and tuba player of the Wallace collection. So, Errollyn, what's up? I listened to your fabulous new tone poem, The Elements, played by the BBC Symphony Orchestra at the first night of the proms. How has the summer been?
It's been very busy because I've been working on an opera, but also I wrote another orchestral piece straight after the Elements for Chineke Orchestra to mark their 10th anniversary, and that was just premiered a couple of weeks ago. And so, yeah, I'm multitasking in a way that I probably oughtn't to be, but I'm enjoying writing music very much at the moment.
Great. And Tony, I hear your main breadwinner at the moment is Brian Anderson's beer band. You're going up after we make this recording to play with them, and that you've also been moonlighting at the Cheltenham contest with the Renfrew band and Mark Good. So how do you keep it all up?
Well, it's great fun, isn't it? I mean, just sitting behind an instrument, playing, no matter whether it's in a beer band, because like we're in October at the moment, and October is traditionally beer band experience. I think, John, you've even been over to Munich, haven't you, to experience Oktoberfest?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it is a fantastically joyous thing, but also just the privilege of being able to sit behind an instrument, make music. That's what it's all about. That's just such good fun. I don't mind what I do. I really don't mind what I do. I was just thinking about sort of Chineke, the orchestra. They've just been on tour in Europe,
Yeah.
and they did exactly the same concert halls that I did with another orchestra. In fact, Chi Chi's previous orchestra, and we saw posters for them up in the concert halls. So I think there's a great tradition now of this grand tour of the great concert halls in Europe. It's a shame that we don't do it as much as we used to, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, but maybe that'll change eventually. Who knows?
I hope so.
So, Errollyn, how did you get into music? I mean, did it run in the family? Is there anyone in particular we have to thank for your musical career?
It's such a difficult question because actually, for me, music was always there in the household. People, as a baby, evidently, I wouldn't, I would never cry. But my parents, one day they woke up and singing, I was singing, "When I Fall in Love, It Will Be Forever." So I wasn't two yet, and I was thinking about so that means my parents were always, they loved these songs, they loved jazz, they loved Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, but they listened to calypso, and right up until my father died, he would get together with my mother and my uncle and aunt, listening to jazz standards, naming the performers, really listening really closely to the members of the band. So it ran in their veins. And it was only actually until I wrote the piece, Chrome, that my father said, "Oh, your great uncle Rudolph was head of the Constabulary Brass Band in Belize." And that's when I started thinking about all my forebears, the people who went before, because I'm the first to be a professional musician. And then so every day now I think, who was it way back then that was maybe a composer like me? And what I think about composing and being involved in music, for me, it was a very natural thing that wasn't remarked upon. So I mean, I may have been talented, but I had no idea. But once I took to the piano, I not only played it, but that was also a useful vehicle for composing. And then I would go to the library and take out scores. But I was very self-directed, I have to say. So this feeling for music was just always a natural part of my life.
Yeah. How did you get into writing for brass? So, was that a coincidence, or was there a family connection there too?
It was for National Youth Brass Band, and I can't remember who the director was at that time. Who would it have been? Asked me to write a piece, and I almost wanted to say no because
Was it Gary Howarth who conducted it anyway?
Gary
Yeah,
conducted it,
yeah.
but it was going to be conducted by somebody else who, when he saw the score, said, "No, this is not possible." So Gary stepped in.
That was the story of Gary's career as well. Everybody said, this is impossible. Let's give it to Gary. But it
But
doesn't sound impossible, does it? No, you hear it.
yeah,
No.
but and also anybody, I didn't. So my brother Byron, he was with he started playing. What did he start playing? Euphonium with the brass at the boys brigade, and then I introduced him to trumpet. But the thing is, when you play in a brass band, you understand that it's the idiosyncrasies of the what's the word, the formation of it. Do you know what I mean? Like the piano, cornet, and all these instruments and the different clefs. So I was thinking, I don't think I'm going to be able to cope with that. That was the hardest thing. But before I started writing it, I Gary asked me to go over to his house, and he just said one or two things, and he said something that's actually changed my life. He said, think of using mutes. Don't forget the mutes. And that's how Chrome starts with these. He said, mutes aren't, they change the color, the text of the sound. And so that's why Chrome starts the way it does, with all these surges of sound, but with the mutes giving different, different colors. And so, but that was a trial by fire writing that piece because, technically it seemed, it was such a challenge for me because I'd never written for brass band before.
But I think you may have changed like the culture of brass bands because Chrome was 1997, which is that's almost 30 years ago now. And since your piece, the whole timbre of brass bands has changed. They use mutes so much more in contests. This latest piece that by Eddie Gregson at the championships, it's just mutes all the time. So
Yes.
you may have started a trend being,
Gary, that's the Gary effect, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the Gary effect. Yeah, yeah.
He's so kind to me, and but he loved that piece. Actually, I love that piece. I can tell you. It was, once I got into it, it was so much fun, and it seemed to. I'll never write a piece like that, but it seemed to. I had this strong vision for it, and it seemed to come out in the way just as I wanted. And to hear all, so I think we had 150 players in the first performance. It's the mighty sound. We have 14 trombones. Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah. Tony, do you think it would make a great test piece? It's only 16 minutes long,
Oh, that would be fabulous.
Be perfect.
Yeah, it would be ideal. And like all music, it's joyous. It's joyous. It's properly great.
Yeah.
How do we get to hear it though? How do we hear it these days?
Eikangerbjørsvik, isn't it?
Yes. What happened
Errollyn.
was, after I think in 2000, Gary says, "Look, I'd love to take this to Eikangerband," and so that's and to do a concert there featuring Chrome. But also he said something interesting, because I write songs as well, and is his name Ray Farr? Is that his? Do you know that?
Ray, yeah.
Yeah.
Ray lives in Norway now, yeah.
Ray
Ray,
made arrangements of my songs, so I sang them at the piano, but with the brass band. That was very exciting.
oh, that's what I was going to say. We used to do work with Peter Skellern, and
Oh
on
wow,
the telly and all of that sort of thing.
goodness.
And I just thought, great. So why don't you write more stuff for yourself and brass band? It's loads and loads of mutes, all these
Okay,
textures.
yes.
You
Oh,
know, is that an idea, or have you got too much on your plate
yes.
at the moment?
I love writing for brass so much. And in all my orchestral pieces, I always feel I'm always looking out for the brass, because what I love is, the attack, but then the contrast. I'm always thinking, how can I treat brass in a different way? But I feel that's such a center of the orchestra for me. But yeah, I would like to write another brass
Hmm.
piece.
So was there sibling rivalry between you and your brother? Always the age difference too much for that? Were you very supportive of him as a
Yeah,
trumpet player?
well,
Yeah.
actually, I feel responsible for his, because, as I say, nobody had gone into music before, and so I had to find my own way. And I'm older than my brother. I remember giving him, as a Christmas present, a CD of Maurice Andre, and honestly, that from then he said, "Oh my gosh, I want to play the trumpet," and I encouraged him that he could go into music. And he didn't study music, but he definitely wanted to go into jazz. And I think he was studying, I think, psychology at Sussex University, but he was sort of hanging out with particularly the American players, Wynton Marsalis, and quite a lot of legends, and learning directly from them. So his path has been different to mine, but he will always say that listening to, classical trumpet was the thing that got him going.
Hmm. Now, you were born in Belize. My daughter Esme's doing the tech for us today, brought the punta number, "Good morning, Belize," to my attention. So, do your Belizean roots influence your music?
I didn't go back till so I left Belize when I was 2, and I didn't go back till decades later. But what it was, I would imagine, I had to write a piece. It was Concerto for Percussion and Orchestra. That was way back in 1994. And the second movement, I was imagining the rainforest there. And so it's always been this visual, a place of imagination in my mind. But having visited several times and gone to lots of music festivals, and being exposed to different types of music, from Garifunu to Mayan music, and Creole music, which is brought down. It's really it's I'm sort of proud of that other side of my heritage. Belize people are very musical and very they're so lively. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's such a diverse society
Yes.
as well, isn't it? That yeah, I must say, I mean, yeah, your music stuns me with its diversity because I'm quite a predictable bloke, and so I can never tell where it's going to go next. And so I was just thinking, where does this come from? And when you look at Belize and all of the different people who make up the community there, is it Garifunu, the
Yes.
music?
Yeah,
And
that's very popular.
uh-huh. And so I'm just thinking, yeah, there's something that's out with my ken that's part
Yes.
of your makeup that's you know,
But I just feel that I myself am probably, I have so many different nationalities as part of my own makeup. And but I was trained in, Western classical music. So I didn't go back to, didn't grow up in Belize. I wasn't there as a young adult. So I find it astonishing myself that there's this other, these, these other flavors that come out. But I can only put that down to, I think, my parents' love of music and their eclectic taste.
uh, you put it down to genetics partly as well, huh?
I think so, actually.
Yeah. And what about, you started off as a dancer. How did you transit from a dancer into a composer?
Well, actually, dancing and music going alongside, like many small children, I went to my piano lessons, then my sisters and I went to dancing lessons. But fairly early on, I really fell in love with ballet, and I wanted to be a ballet dancer. But my parents said, well, we don't know any about dance. I really wanted a specialist training, which I didn't get. But at the age of 17, 18, I went to study at the Dance Theatre of Harlem, intense sort of summer schools, and then I went back for a term with the view that I would be a choreographer and into contemporary dance. But that was always actually running alongside the music. I mean, I had my diploma. I was always, so it's never, music never went out of the picture. But my passion seemed to be for dance. When I think of it now, that passion was ignited by the music I was hearing for the ballet. So I remember the first time hearing Chopin was in a ballet class. Do you see what I mean? And the penny didn't drop till much later that it's the music. If you're a dancer, what you're doing is you become part of the music.
I suppose there's always that feeling, what comes first, dance or music? And I remember when I went up to the job in Glasgow to the old Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama, I thought, because I'd started off my career in festival ballet. I was second trumpet in the ballet orchestra for four years, and you just get imbued with it. And it's just such a fabulous. I just thought this place will never be like the Juilliard or any until we get dance. So that was the idea for the modern ballet course. And personally, I think the place has never looked back since that course started in 2008. I remember the first interdisciplinary thing that we did there was the Rite of Spring with the piano department and a student choreographer and a tag team playing the Rite of Spring, four hands, and they'd each learn one of the variations that even in the Rite of Spring is even constructed like that, although it's mainly done as an orchestral piece now. It's departed from the dance almost. But personally, I'm building the dance studios and all that. That was the most exciting time of my life.
Thank you for that.
Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be about you, not me.
Yeah, there's two. Yeah, thank you for that, because yeah, I think dance and music, they just belong. Well, we know they belong together.
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, because you were brought up in London.
Yes.
Why did you decide to move a little bit further north to Orkney?
I don't know why. It started with the lighthouse. It started with me stumbling across a website called lighthousesforsale.co.uk, and I had bought a little bit of a lighthouse. So I was dividing my time between Greenwich and the lighthouse. So the lighthouse is right at the top of the UK, far north Highlands.
Strathy Point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was very happy backwards and forwards. And then the day came when I saw a picture of a house, which I thought, oh, I like the look of that house. And that's the house I'm in now, which is honestly perfect for making all kinds of noise. It's got all the natures to hand. It's secluded. It's a haven for me,
Yeah. I remember going to the first Orkney Festival in 1977, because I was in the fires of London at that time, playing in the martyrdom of St. Magnus, Maxie's piece at the first Orkney Festival. And I was so impressed with it. We went back for a holiday, visited Max on Hoy, and stayed at the youth hostel down at the bottom of the cliff and everything. And we spent 3 weeks on holiday. I just fell in love with the place. So,
but Pete, you must come here, really. You'll be welcome.
Well, Tony.
Well, funny you should say that. Do you have space for 30? because we're coming up there next to play in the Orkney Festival next year.
Are you?
Yes, stop press, although it's possibly not totally signed, sealed and delivered. But we're hoping to be with a brass band and the Wallace collection to play John's amazing, absolutely incredible reconstruction of the 1615 Gabrieli sonatas and canzas. It's incredible piece of music. So we're going to be doing that in the festival along with I think the Cooperation Band are going to be playing a concert on their own. I think, John, is that the plan?
Yes, and I just
come over, John.
I just dreamt this thing up when I was I was having a little bout of illness and staring at a hospital ceiling, and I thought, in Gabrieli's final posthumous work, I thought, Christ, he must have worked this out on his deathbed. It's a sort of invisible symphony that nobody's ever seen. So we just play from, it's like an hour and 20 minutes, canzon 1 to 21 of the 1615 posthumous canzoni sonata. And these are fabulous. I mean, it starts with 5 and ends up with 22 parts. And it's just, I'll send you a recording, because I mean, this is the sort of genre that I think you would excel in.
No, I know. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I've got room for, let me see, probably, let me see, probably 15.
Oh, wow. 15, wow. Right. We'll get on to Alistair straight away.
I have a room. I've got a room here, which is why I bought the house, that can, this house used to be used, gigs would happen here. So there's a room that can hold 50 people, so that you could do rehearsal here.
Or we could even do a little quintet concert there in your house.
We could do a gig,
Yes.
Why don't you?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. That would be amazing.
Alistair was saying that his best-selling gigs are the ones that he puts in distilleries and breweries. Yeah. They get snapped up almost immediately. Funny. Yeah.
But this house used to be used as a venue as part of the festival. It's been many things, like a little hotel. But the thing about, I think the house is that it's amazing. It's got hundreds of trees, which is so unusual for Orkney.
Oh, yeah. So, but it's amazing that Orkney is the centre of the cultural world in Britain, isn't it? Amazing.
Yes. That's going to be incredible. That's going to be the highlight of the festival, seriously. And I'm really happy to hear about this project. It's very so ambitious and fantastic.
Well, Alistair was just saying how difficult it is to get large groups up, and also fly groups up with the Creative Scotland zero carbon policy. So we're going to sort of get the band up to Aberdeen, and across there, and then come back on the Friday day before, then come back via Stromness and Scrabster on the way back. Like, can you imagine 12 hours in a bus with a brass band? It'll be brilliant,
We're probably going to rehearse on the way up. Actually, we're going to try and break our journey. Rehearse for a couple of hours in Aberdeen before we get the ferry. So that'll be fun. Fun.
But you've got to visit me here.
Amazing, thank you. It'll be a real treat to visit the master of the King's music.
Yeah, we could have a little party even.
Yeah, amazing.
So, Tony, you've got a question about that?
About the King's music? Yeah. I mean,
high-flying title, Errollyn. Now,
what
amazing.
Does the King's? Because I know originally the master of the King's music was supposed to be in charge of all the guilds of music throughout the kingdom.
Yes.
Do you have to do that now, or is it a little bit different?
I wish I could just say you out. No, and I suppose it's a ceremonial title, but there are certain jobs I have to do, and I may be called upon to write music for special occasions. I wrote something for the Commonwealth Service early in the year, but it's one of those jobs that doesn't actually have a specific job description, and I can make of it what I will. I see myself as a musical ambassador. And I guess in my life as a composer, I'm so busy that I'm out and about, and I just think that's part of it too. And, wanting to reach more people in the Commonwealth as well. I know that's important to the King, who, by the way, is extremely, extremely musical.
Hmm. I remember the last time I met the Queen. It was with Judith, your predecessor,
Yes.
and I'd had like a half an hour audience with her. It was unbelievable, and she said to me some very her love of the bands in the Commonwealth. She said, I think that she liked the bands in the Indian Army where they played bagpipes on camelback. You know, that was her favorite. But she also said something very striking about. She said, you know, I think music education is so important. I mean, don't you? All of my children learn musical instruments. Don't you think that's the way to go? And you know, what are your feelings about the sorts of influence you could have on music education from your position?
Oh me. Oh yes. Well, I was thinking the other day. I was thinking how something's happened, particularly in British society, where music and the acquisition of skills seems to be actually under attack, and I just don't understand it. So I keep thinking, what can I do to, be part of a campaign? One of the things I was reflecting on, that if we were to have a no music day just for one day, I don't think I I think everybody would just have a nervous breakdown. So that means no music wherever in restaurants, no nothing on the phone, no headphones, no TV, no music on TV. You go and see a film, no music. Do you know what I mean? No music in the car, no music. Because I think never before has there been a time where people are so hungry for music that they live it. They can't be silent. They need music for all sorts of reasons. But yet at the same time, some of those people don't see the importance of training a child to be part of that. It's odd, isn't it? It's as if there's a disconnect with thinking that we have to address urgently.
Tony spends all day, every day during the week running around it used to be Stamp, now it's Sistema, and is it the fill-in band that you're running up there as part of Sistema? I mean, Tony, do you think Sistema is something that can spread across Scotland?
Well, we're already across quite a lot of Scotland: Aberdeen, Edinburgh, Stirling, and Glasgow, and Dundee. Sistema is brilliant because everyone can have a go, and the opportunity is open to all. So I think for a lot of young people, like you were saying, you couldn't relate to being a black ballet dancer.
No.
I think a lot of young people can't relate to being a musician because they don't see it as something that's for them. But as you were saying, everyone consumes music all the time, whether it's as a Swiftie or as, whatever. So what we try and do is show everyone that actually music you can do. Let's see how far you can go. And for example, in Raploch in Stirling, we've just appointed now our first teacher who used to be a student of the programme.
Goodness.
And that's someone we've been very lucky to work with in the Wallace collection, called Simone. She's a very gifted trombonist, and she's come back to work with the young people. That's a brilliant circle.
Yeah.
And the more we can do that, the more we can get young people thinking, well, I could do something that no one else in my family has ever done. Yeah. Like you were saying, maybe you were the first person to go to higher education?
Well, to go, yes, I think I was actually, yeah. No, to go, I think my dad might have gone to university. I'm not sure. No, my dad went to university, but I was the first to be professional, study music and go into the profession.
So for both myself and John's background, I think we were the first to go to higher education from our families. And that aspiration is really important in
Yes.
creating a sense of self-worth.
Yes.
And once you have an heightened sense of self-worth, then you can find your way in society a little bit better. And once you can find your way in society, all of a sudden society gets even more exciting and more beautiful. And then more people will want to listen to your music.
Yeah. And we need all these voices coming in,
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Maybe we could do something in Orkney. I talked to Alistair Nicholson, about, and he said that, the most effective music education thing he could think of at the moment is just drop-ins from real professional music to
Yes.
kids to show them that there were people like musicians,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell
exactly
you,
what you
yeah.
were saying, Errollyn,
Orkney does actually punch above its weight in that they peripatetic teachers go out to all the islands and they had to fight for that. And the folk tradition is very strong. There's less, there's a steady stream from here that goes to RCS. There's sort of less sort of concentration on classical music, but I have to say the teachers are so committed here, and it's more
Yeah.
other parts of England. It's just
mean,
this yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the participation in Orkney and Shetland,
Yeah.
if you had the same in inner cities, it's up to 25%, 30% or something in Shetland. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, we're going to play part of Chrome now. So, I mean, we said earlier that we think that Chrome would make a tremendous test piece. What about, writing an entirely purpose-built test piece for brass band? Would you be up for that?
Yes, I would. But Chrome, I nearly had a bit of a breakdown because I was very scared writing it. It's fairly early on in my career, and I was thinking, yes, I would. I'm actually due to start writing a 30-minute orchestral piece. That's sort of for next year. But I was thinking maybe within that, I wondered within that there could be just, I don't know, featuring brass section. Anyway, I'm thinking about.
Yeah, so there's which Bartok piano concerto is it that has one part of it that's one movement that's just entirely wind and piano? Yeah.
But anyway, there's I would like for Chrome, I would have to chop a bit of it down, wouldn't I, to make it into a test piece. And several people have asked me, and I really think I should have done it by now.
Well, I've been listening to it quite a lot, and I think it's terse as it is.
Yeah,
maybe it's a bit of a negotiation,
Yes.
because at 16 minutes it's just there or thereabouts, I think it's maybe worth sticking to your guns and keeping it that length, because I don't see where you could prune it really, but that's just me. I mean, you going back to it after 28 years, you might be a lot more forensic about it.
But I was that was the piece I really wanted to write. It was so, every note was right, but I think I have missed out on having it used as a test piece because I think it is one of my best pieces. I really do. There's something about the spirit of it. It's just, sometimes you write pieces and you aim for something and you may or may not get there. But that one, I was aiming for something elusive in a way, but I think I managed to get it in sound.
So let's listen to another piece now. Tony.
Yeah, we were just reminiscing earlier on, myself and John, that we played in the Tullis Russell band with a young man called Angus Butt, who I think who is now in the Leipzig Gewandhaus Orchestra.
And do you remember him getting a hard time from the conductor Paul Kiernan, who's a trombone player, and now he's in the Leipzig Gewandhaus.
There's a video of him going around at the moment talking about the orchestra, and he speaks as if he's German.
I know. I'm going to call him up about that because that's ridiculous. It's been creeping on. He's been working, obviously, the last 3 years in Germany, but I don't understand his accent. We want the old one back.
Well, I think that maybe that's gone now. But yeah, he speaks very much like he's German, which is great. He looks German. He's very tall and Teutonic. Yeah. But you wrote a piece for him inspired by a cave?
Well, he was staying with me. When was he staying with me? And he was approaching. He wanted a piece for his finals at Royal Academy Music, and he said, "Could I write him a short piece?" And I said, "Angus, I don't have time." And then, of course, how can I refuse Angus Butt? So I wrote it. But he had been there's not far from me is a cave called Smoo Cave. And he had gone there to make a sort of video of him just playing into, that acoustic. And that was, he loved going to that cave. So I've called the piece Cave more, the piece isn't necessarily about cave, but the cave, I knew how much that place, Smoo Cave, meant to him. So it's a personal gift to Angie.
Well, that's really nice. But I'm also interested, right? How did you end up writing for Bollywood Brass?
Again, because I was asked. I do things. A friend said to me the other day, "Why do you keep saying yes to things?" Well, I said, one thing I turned down was playing organ for Billy Smart Circus. And that was a mistake because now, I try and say yes as much as possible. But it's that was for... Now, was Gary involved in that? But it was a special brass band day in Manchester. It was all taking place in the Halle Concert Hall, but it was various brass bands, and at the centre it was Bollywood brass band who they processed down. It was quite a visual thing, and that was a piece called Gold Saturday, which actually I've only ever heard it once. So,
well, we've been looking for it and we can't find it.
No, there's no recording.
Oh, so no recording. It reminds me of back in the day, Tony and I, and we put on this 2001 brass odyssey in Croydon Fairfield Halls with the Wallace collection, and we hired got this local Salvation Army Citadel band in, but we also got Bollywood brass and Dole drums in, and it was absolutely fabulous. And we had this big impromptu performance that was started by who was it played the didgeridoo? Played a didgeridoo.
A guy called Joel Thomas
from Nottingham, wasn't
he? Nottingham, yeah.
And he made a living from selling didgeridoos all over markets in the Midlands. And he started off this whole extravaganza, and it was just sort of flung together, wasn't it? The final thing, and he stole the show really by. Because once you get the didgeridoo going, you can't really stop it. And he went on for about 15 minutes. We asked him can you do 3 minutes at the top? And but of course, the icing on the cake was Bollywood. So we've got to get this piece and get it recorded. But maybe we'll just listen to Cave with Angus Butt whilst we have a little break ourselves from the talking. So here's Cave by Angus Butt.
Errollyn, you've written for Onyx Brass as well as.
Oh yes, I forgot about that piece. Oh my God! No, I like that piece.
Onyx, yeah.
That's a piece you like.
I think, why do I forget? I write music, and it's there, but I'm not very good at remembering what I've just done, what I'm about to do.
Well, we might slip in a bit of Onyx as well, because although that is on the NMC label,
Yes, it
you
is.
know, it's
Shall I tell you the story of that?
oh yes, please, yeah.
I was very, very, very good friends with Mike Hodges, legendary filmmaker.
Oh yeah.
And he was actually going to be directing an opera of mine, but by the time that opera came to fruition, he was sort of nearly 90, so he thought, no, maybe I better not do it. But I was very sad when he died a couple of years ago now, 2 to 3 years ago. And it's around that time Onyx wanted me to write a short piece of them. So that is remembering Mike Hodges, a great man and a great music lover. He loved music.
So I think we might play a bit of that as well, you know, because I think we want to let people hear how diverse your music is, because that's different, different again.
It's really interesting to hear, you know, you talk about such massive diversity. I think you've written, what, 22 operas?
I'm writing my 23rd now.
Wow. Yes. And is opera something that, it feels to me that you're really attracted to that format. What drags you into it?
In a way, who wouldn't be? Because it's like playing. You've got the characters, they get dressed up, you've got the lighting, you've got the staging. Do you know what I mean? You've got the costumes. Anybody who loves storytelling, I think, is drawn to that form. And I have written a lot, so many. And some of my operas are very short and like Cautionary Tales. It's 4 singers in the cast and 3 in the band, and that's written for touring. So I've written different scales. My Dido's Ghost is about to go to Boston. In fact, next weekend, so I'll be going to Boston for that with the manual music. I just think I've written all these operas, but I still feel I've got to learn more about the form, and depending on the story or the librettist you're working with or the team you're with, different works come out. It's a real collaborative effort. I think I'm very attracted to that.
And I know, John, as a composer, you're attracted to opera as well, because you've written quite a few as well now.
Yeah. I just write them for my own amazement. I mean, we did one with the Wallace collection during the lockdown with Jamie McDougall. There's only
Oh,
had
yes.
one role of the son in this piece called Obsnizing Dad, which was about what healthcare is going to look like in 2100, with on a sort of dementia scale of 1 to 2,100, and so that was real fun because yeah, I just wrote it with brass in the accompaniment. So is there any chance of you writing an opera with a brass band in the pit?
I knew you were gonna...
Yeah, you can see where I was going with that, couldn't you?
Yes, I'd love to see the opera. Do you have a recording of it, John?
We've got an audio recording
Yes.
of it,
Yes.
and also you can see it's on YouTube. I'll send you a link
Oh, yes,
to
please.
to
Okay.
the St Andrews recording during lockdown, where it was students in the chorus.
Oh,
It
wonderful.
was quite fun.
It's an incredible piece of music. It's absolutely incredible. It's possibly the hardest piece of music ever written for 19th century instruments as well. But it's so good.
But the trouble with me is that I get too political because I think I go back to the days of Verdi, and I just think that opera can be a transformative form. It's like Cameron McIntosh thinks about musical theatre right now. I think it can be transformative. So I've written political stuff about Veitwa which is sturgeon and salmon, and their court case, that sort of thing. That's
Yes.
too political to get put on in Scotland, I think. And another one about COP26, because I'm quite climate aware, which has got Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, and on good God, who's the third? Greta Thunberg, who's the angel in the whole thing. So they're too political to
No, but
probably
it's
get put on
important.
in
No.
Scotland.
Yeah, but it's important. I feel the perception of opera by many is that, oh, it's people in 18th century costumes sort of acting out storylines that make no sense. But I think it is a form to be, to convey important messages. I do.
Quite interested though. How does that, as if someone commissions you, and gives you money to write an opera, how much independence do you have as the composer to say, well, I want to, this is the message, there's a message in here that I really want to convey.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Sometimes people come to me with the ideas for a story, and then or other times I will present a story and people say, oh yes, we like that. So particularly if you're working, there's usually quite a lot of money involved in putting an opera. So but for example, Royal Opera House approached me in I think something around about 2011 or something, to make a program about to make an opera with Bonnie Greer about her going on television with a far right MP, and so that was particular. That was political. It was about immigration and the movement of the far right. And what was interesting to me is that a critic was absolutely outraged at the subject matter of that opera and said, the subject of immigration has been covered in opera countless times, but where? I don't know that opera, do you? It was
No.
about immigration in the United Kingdom, and it was that subject was of great interest, and not least because all the characters, everybody had a voice in it, of all sorts of persuasions, and
And that was back in 2011.
yeah, exactly.
If you just written this page, we wouldn't have the so-called problem now,
I know, I know, I know.
Yeah.
So I just think, like you, it's important to think of the messages, but the story doesn't necessarily have to be overtly political, but there will always be a political angle because you're dealing with society, as far as I can.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I can see, it's very exciting. But for me, that exploration of character within opera is so compelling, and that even after I've finished these operas, those characters are still in my mind. I think about them, and music, music brings them to life.
hmm And about writing new music for brass. Up at the start, we played David Childs, and I remember David getting on the phone to me once and just saying, "How can I get a piece out of Jimmy McMillan?" And this was about 10 years ago, and I said to him, "Well, I'll try and put in a good word for you, but with composers that are as busy as Jimmy, you've got to get in about 10 years ahead." I said, with Maxwell Davies' uh, concerto, I was in 1977 or so on,
Wow.
first
Yeah.
asking him about, and then, of course, we did his First Symphony with Simon Rattle, and then we did all up to number five, so that by that time he'd got used to, the
Yes.
the way that I played, and then finally, from the time of I could buck up the courage to asking him, it was 7 years because he
God.
had such a lot. So I said to David, get in now and get it in and just keep pestering him, and which he did. And eventually, Jimmy came up with, and so it's been done recently, and I believe it's fabulous. And of course, David will give it a lot of performances because he's got such connections all over the place. So this is sort of, would you consider writing a piece for euphonium and orchestra? Because again, although we are obsessed by the brass bands, we've
Mm.
got to get these great instruments
Yes, and great players.
legitimacy
Yes.
by having
Yes,
playing
I
them
agree.
with chamber orchestras or
Yes,
whatever.
yes,
You
definitely,
know.
I would, and somebody like David Childs is, I've been aware of him for a long time, and he's like a supreme musician. Can I
Mhm.
ask you something? And this might be too controversial for this to go out, but what I didn't understand recently, Alison Balsam is retiring. One of the reasons she gave was that there's not enough repertoire for the trumpet. Can that be true? But she commissions so much.
No, there isn't enough
Oh, right.
repertoire for well, the what am I trying to say? There is a lot of repertoire for the trumpet, and it's very good stuff. But it's musician stuff. I like it. You would like it. Tony would like it. It's the general public. How much pub? So I remember back in the dim mists of time when I was a trumpet soloist, and I was just got fed up by being asked to do the Hummel and the
Yes,
Haydn all of the
yes,
all of the
yes,
time. That
yes,
it's the restrictions on when I listen to Radio 3 these days, I'm disappointed by how restricted the repertoire is and how it's less adventurous than when I was growing up in the
yes,
50s and 60s,
yes.
and so and when you look at all of the programming of the orchestras, that like when I was in orchestras, they're on the sides of safety. But we used to get, people like cigarette companies like Du Maurier to sponsor the music of today things. So we'd have Lutoslavsky come across and do his second symphony with the Philharmonia St. John Smith, a whole day long of Lutoslavsky, and stuff like that. But you're so restricted now that I could understand that, and I'm just so disappointed that you know all of the great pieces that I played. I mean, one year I was at 1993. I did five new commissions, including Jimmy's. And doing Jimmy's first performance of his trumpet concerto. I told him this in the Usher Hall at the Edinburgh Festival. It was like stepping forward onto the penalty spot with to score the winning goal for Scotland. It was just and the audience. It was filled to the rafters. Now it's very difficult to do that. So I could understand completely where she was coming from. It needs so much advocacy or backstory to sell contemporary music to a larger audience, and that's what I feel Our job should be with these podcasts like this is to actually sell, you know, contemporary music and say, listen to how fantastic it is. You know, come along, guys. You've got to come and listen to it. Well, shut up now. I'm on my hobby
Well said,
horse.
John. Because also, I think we've there's so many fantastic composers around and coming up, and this is a very exciting time. You know, composers are everywhere now, and that's rightly so. And you know, all ages, all yeah, and it's not all getting out there at the moment. I agree.
Well, I think there's 5 bands got together up here, and the cooperative band is one of them. And I think are there bands in it who've commissioned something like half a dozen new composers to try to, and also composers who haven't written for brass band before, to get them over this hump of everything being treble clef except Angus Butt's bass clef for the bass trombone, because that's a major setback for composers to, you know, they look at the score and they're not seeing the sounds that they're hearing in their head, you know.
It's a convention. Oh, I know, I wanted to tell you about. There's a piece I wrote back in, gosh, this is back in 2008. It's for Welsh National Opera, and it was a 50-minute oratorio about the history of coal mining in South Wales. And as part of that, no, not we had the Parc brass band, we had the orchestra, WNO orchestra chorus, three different choruses, including amateur choirs. And I just remember there was a whole the brass band was at the heart of that, you know, and it was So integrating whole brass bands into orchestras is what would be exciting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think Berlioz did that back in, is it
Yeah.
1830 or so, with his
We had
Requiem.
four of
Four
them.
brass bands.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic sound. Yeah. So I think we're nearing the last lap of our podcast now. And dear audience, think about pressing the like button and pushing the boat out to become a subscriber. And it would be nice to hear your thoughts, however provoking. So email me with those at john.wallace at the Wallace Collection, all word, the Wallace Collection .world. That's john.wallace at thewallacecollection.world. So, fellow conspirators, anything to add to today's conversation? You know, any conclusions, takeaways on how we make brass bands more central to the national music conversation? Tony?
Well, for me, I think the brass band is more interesting when it looks outside rather than inside itself. So, for the fact that Errollyn, you wrote your piece maybe 25 years ago, 28 years ago, wouldn't it be amazing if we had such outward looking things all the time, so that the brass band or the brass ensemble or even orchestras weren't seen as strange things, as these esoteric bodies that are only for a certain type of person? Wouldn't it be amazing if these institutions were seen as things for everyone to listen to?
Yes, absolutely agree.
Yeah. So, Errollyn, have you got any takeaways for us?
Follow on from what Tony said, that I've always viewed music as something for everyone to take part in, to enjoy, and that's my approach. And I think what's special about, say, my encounter with the brass band world fairly early on was how tied in it was to communities, and how some of these young players have fed into this, you know, into the symphony orchestras and maintained this particular performance practice style, you know, and reminded that music is always, you know, you're part of a family, whether it's a global family or a town or village somewhere. We mustn't forget that.
Yes. Well, that's it for today. Yeah, you can listen to Errollyn Wallen's Chrome played by Norway's eikangerbjørsvik band on YouTube. Yeah, you can also listen to Cave played by Angus Butt, a wonderful performance on YouTube. Onyx played by Onyx Brass is on the NMC label, and closing music Breakdown, a form of Creole broken down calypso music from Belize, is played by the bona fide trombone quartet, and this is also easily accessible on YouTube. So thank you to Errollyn Wallen and Tony George for helping to prove that brass matters. So goodbye from me, John Wallace, from Errollyn.
Goodbye.
And Tony George.
Goodbye.